in there, starting rookie camp today. Tyler Booker there, of course. And here's a few needs that they address. They ranked 24th in pass. Oh, we're going to hear from Tyler Booker. My bad. Here he is. Here's what he said today.
Know that this rookie contract is just, Lord willing, the first of a couple that I have coming in front of me. So I was just focused on getting to work. I wasn't too worried about the little extremities. That's stuff for my agent to worry about. So I told her, I was like, look, let's get this thing done. I'm ready to get to work. Like, I always wanted to be a professional football player. I've always wanted to win Super Bowl. So now I'm just worried about helping my team win, being an asset to my team. You know, like yeah, I'm in the NFL now, but like, what am I going to do in the NFL? That's what matters.
Honestly, his sound bites are amazing. Great person. All right, the Cowboys addressed some big team needs in the draft. They ranked 24th in pass block win rate last season, so they drafted Tyler Booker, the guard. With the loss of DeMarcus Lawrence, they drafted edge rusher Donovan Ezeraku, and they ranked second worst in opponents' yard per attempt last season, so they drafted cornerback Siobhan Ravel Jr. And they couldn't run the ball, so they drafted running back Jayden Blue. So there you go. I mean, that makes you feel good. But, Tim, did they do enough in the draft to address all of their issues?
Yeah, no, they didn't. And like, in fairness to the Cowboys, because like you just outlined it great, Laura. Like, when you look at it, it's like, look, there were needs, and then look, and presumably they're drafting good players to fill in, you know, the void and the needs that they have there. Look, when you look at some teams, Cowboys would be one of them. I think there are a couple other teams. Patriots would be one of them. Like, one swing of the hammer is not going to fix it all. Like, it's not going to be one pass through free agency. It's not going to be one pass through the draft that all of a sudden you go, yep, we fixed it. You know, so, you know, some of the criticism of, well, you're going to get Dak a wide receiver. It's like, well, if you did get him a receiver, were you going to get him the left guard that you needed to get him? So, listen, I think the Cowboys did a good job. I don't think you can really ever fault them for the talent they bring in. I think they do a nice job of that. I just think we're a team with how things have kind of shaken out and where they are with their quarterback and his contract, that, look, you're going to have to be patient in terms of the turnaround.
Yeah, Tim, Amari Cooper is still out there, a potential fill for that wide receiver 2 spot in Dallas. And I'm told there is at least some mutual interest between the player and the team on a reunion. Now, money will be the sticking point most likely. I'm told Dallas really doesn't want to spend a lot in remaining free agency. Amari Cooper's made almost $140 million, so yeah. I doubt he's going to take a minimum deal at this point. But look, they got the coming weeks and months, see if they can come to some sort of agreement. It looks like he's not going to resign in Buffalo. So I do expect Dallas to sort of comb that market, add at least one offensive piece at some point.
Yeah, D-Wood, is Cooper enough to fill that number 2 spot in Dallas?
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's getting up there in age. He's obviously, the Cowboys are very familiar with Amari Cooper, being that he played with the Dallas Cowboys. But listen, Laura, they need someone opposite CeeDee Lamb. It's just been like just barren at the number 2 receiver for the Dallas Cowboys, and it just makes it so much, you know, for opposing defense, makes it easier when you get to scheme up CeeDee Lamb when you don't have a threat opposite him. So whether it's Amari Cooper or or trade or something, they need to address that in order to get the most out of this passing game.
Jeremy, where do things stand with Micah Parsons getting a new deal, by the way?
Well, I'm told Dallas has not ramped up negotiations with Parsons' agent as of yet. So they plan to, they want to, they've essentially budgeted for this. They know what the market is. It's going to be well above $35, $40 million per year. But Dallas is uncomfortable waiting. We've seen that with Dak Prescott. He didn't get a deal done until September of last year. CeeDee Lamb late August. Trevon Diggs over the summer.
Trading up to take a quarterback number 1 overall in 2026, which is interesting. Here's their quarterback room right now. They have Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, and Deshaun Watson. Plus, they drafted both Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders this year. Of course, Dylan Gabriel was drafted before Shedeur. Tim, how do you see things shaking out with this group?
Well, listen, I mean, the reality of it when you see it is like, it's hard for 5th-round draft picks to make the football team. Like, it doesn't matter what your name is, especially at the quarterback position. And then when you look at the lineup, you just outlined, Joe Flacco is going to be the day 1 starter. That's why he's there. But he's also hasn't started, you know, a full season in 7 years. And so Kenny Pickett is very valuable because Kenny Pickett started games for the Super Bowl winning, you know, Philadelphia Eagles a year ago. He's got a tremendous value as a backup in the National Football League. So this idea that, like, oh, hey, you just ship Kenny Pickett off and go with 2 rookie quarterbacks behind Joe Flacco, I don't think that Kevin Stefanski is going to feel great about doing that. And so then I think when you look at, Dillon Gabriel, look, he's a better prospect in the eyes of the Cleveland Browns. They took him 2 rounds earlier than they took Shedeur Sanders. So there aren't enough reps to go around. I think people need to understand this. You could have a period in practice where you have a 14-play 7-on-7 period. Well, like the starter Flacco is going to get 7 of them. Then you're going to have 5, that go to Kenny Pickett, your backup. Well, like you have 2 reps left that probably go to the 3rd guy. So it's hard. I've lived it as the 4th quarterback at times where you're there, you watch practice a lot. You don't even get a chance to prove that you're good enough to make the team. And I think that's the fear if you're Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, listen, I hate to disagree with my fellow Eagle right here, but if you're the Cleveland Browns, first of all, we know what Joe Flacco is at this point in his career. The last time we saw Joe Flacco in the Cleveland Browns uniform, he was out there throwing picks to the opposition, the Houston Texans. We know what he is. Kenny Pickett has been on 3 teams in what, a year time or whatever it is, 2 years. We know what Kenny Pickett is. If you're the Cleveland Browns, you have 2 first-round picks in 2026. I think the priority has to be what we need to evaluate both of our draft picks, both Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, to see if either one of those guys can possibly be the quarterback solution. Because if either one of those guys hits, then that just only increases the values of those 2 2026 draft picks in the first round. So I think the focus should be on the rookies. We know what the veterans are right now.
Listen, Wood, I don't disagree with you that your assessment of Flacco and Pickett, I agree with. I think you're right. You also have a staff and an organization that's like, we got to try to win some games, and so we're going to do it with a guy that it went 3 rounds before someone felt comfortable picking him, and a guy that it went 5 rounds before somebody was comfortable picking him. Like, we're going to roll into the season with those 2 guys. And look, I'm not saying that a team can't keep 4 quarterbacks. We've seen it before. At one point, Tom Brady was the 4th quarterback on a roster, behind Bledsoe, Heward, and Michael Bishop. Like, it can happen. I think that. Look, Flacco's there for a reason. They're paying him the way they're paying him for a reason. And Kenny Pickett was acquired because he's proved himself to, at a minimum, be a quality backup. So you just run out of time and reps to evaluate young players at the quarterback position.
So the Browns look at the roster as value through the prism of like value and currency. So that could lead to some trade opportunities when you have 4 quarterbacks to recoup some of the picks that they just gave up for Dillon Gabriel, for Shedeur Sanders, that they felt was too good a value in the 5th round to pass up on. They gave up the 5th round pick to get Kenny Pickett in a trade. And so if one of them plays well in the preseason, it could lead to some opportunities somewhere else where they take that number from 4 to 3. And you mentioned Gabriel, Tim. I was told in the draft, even in the days leading up, from other teams that the Browns were really high on Gabriel and that his ability as a passer and feel for the game, a lot of teams were high on, more so than maybe the media. He's just very small and probably limited as a skill set compared to some other players, but Browns really like the player.
It's interesting. I mean, you never know which teams may end up needing a quarterback that don't need one right now. Things can change for sure, but Tim, I think that view into what it's actually like splitting up reps is really important for people to pay attention to and how they think about all of this. Of course, we'll continue to keep an eye on what the Browns do. Coming up next, let's dive into the Cowboys.
Đây, cái váy nó sẽ xòe ra như này, xòe ra. Mình móc hàng tiếp theo cũng bằng màu vàng nhá. Mỗi màu mình móc 2 hàng. Tiếp tục móc này. Đây, móc vào. Hàng này thì mọi người cứ một mũi vào một chân là được. Đấy, móc xuống nhá. Tiếp tục những mũi tiếp theo. Rồi móc tiếp. Rồi, những mũi tiếp theo. Cứ móc lần lượt như thế này là được nhé. Rồi, tiếp tục Mũi tiếp bạn ơi. Tiếp tục móc. Mọi người cứ luân phiên như thế này là được nhé. Tiếp tục này. Đấy, móc xuống này. Cứ luân phiên như thế này là được. Móc tiếp nha mọi người. Rồi, mũi tiếp theo. Tiếp tục móc. Tiếp nha mọi người. Rồi, móc tiếp. Luân phiên từng mũi. Mình gỡ thêm len nhé. Mũi nữa này. Rồi, móc nối vào đây và siết dây. Mình nối vào này. Và siết dây lại nhé. Đây, cái phần váy xòe này. Nó sẽ có cái độ rộng như này. Nếu mà mọi người thích xòe hơn thì sẽ móc cho nó tăng độ rộng lên. Mình sẽ móc cho nó xòe thêm một chút nữa nhé. Bây giờ lại đổi sang màu len hồng. Cứ từng màu một. Mình gỡ thêm len ra để dùng nhé. Rồi, móc vào. Đây, mình móc vào đây. Mình sẽ tăng mũi ở hàng này. Tỷ lệ sẽ là 4-1 nhé. Cứ 4 mũi lẻ thì mình móc một mũi đôi. Rồi, móc tiếp. Cứ luân phiên từng mũi này cho mình là được. Mình tiếp tục mình móc nha mọi người.